Well, hey everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you guys are all here. All right, let's do this. All right, so good evening. We are going to talk about Karate Combat and their event that they had this past Saturday, which was Kickback 2. So this is going to be basically kind of a review. I'm going to talk about how I thought it went, where I think Karate Combat is going with their other events, things that are going on. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have a great live stream. And of course, as always, if you're here and you like what you're seeing, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. That way you see whenever I'm dropping a video or a live stream or anything that's going on, you get a chance to see it. I appreciate you all very much. So let's get to it. So Karate Combat Kickback 2 happened in Cancun, Mexico this past Saturday evening. And it was a hot one. It was so hot, I guess they had to. How hot was it? It was so hot that they had to push it ahead an hour. So I was planning on live streaming this around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the East Coast of the United States. They're an hour behind us. But that got pushed, so I came on a little bit beforehand. I normally like getting on a little bit earlier to do the live streams, just to like say hi to everyone. Instead of just going in and go, okay, here we go, everyone, let's go. Just gives a chance to kind of get warmed up a little bit and let people kind of stream into the room. But we started about 6 p.m. And what I'm going to be doing in a few minutes, I'm going to be just sharing my screen of the event because I live streamed this. And I'm going to have the mute off, but you can at least see if you didn't get a chance to watch it. And I'll talk about it too. Get a chance to see kind of the environment, how it went. I'm also going to be sharing my thoughts on it. I basically have been live streaming Karate Combat events. This is my 4th or 5th event that I've live streamed. I really love doing it. And I'm going to just kind of skip around a little bit. The live stream I did was about a 5-hour. I'm not going to, trust me, we're not going to be on that long. But you're going to see bits and pieces here and there of fights, and we'll talk about what's going on. So what I want to do here first is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of share my screen here with you guys. And it's kind of funny because where this is showing up is where I would be. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to come over here. We're going to go ahead and start this. There we go. So as you can see, this was in Cancun, Mexico, and it really struck me being that it's was spring break in Cancun, and I was thinking, oh no, this is gonna. I had initially thought, as you can see, right on the ocean, right on the beach, and I just love that kind of structure that they did above the pit. It was great. And I always think that their pit is just really phenomenal. I love the way it's constructed, and I love the use of it. That to me is just by itself is really, really cool. But as you can see from the drones, how it all went, and I kind of feel for these dudes because it's about 5, 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock Cancun time, and the sun's beating down. Plus, you got to think of that canvas. All right, I'm not sure exactly what they did to put on that to make it not so hot, but that's got to be a little toasty for the feet, But plus, you got the sun beating right down on you, and hopefully these guys were drinking water beforehand. But as we're kind of seeing the background and what's going on, and just having people hang out, this is actually before the fight. What really caught me was this just felt so much more professional. No offense to the first Kickback one. The first Kickback one I thought was a little bit. I know it was an experiment, and I'm trust me, I'm not being critical because I think, hey, it's like you throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. But there were some elements of the first one I didn't care too much for, especially with the language and that sort of thing. The thing that struck me, one of the things that struck me the most during this is the professionalism of all the commentators, and of course, Boss is just a total professional, and they all did an amazing job. But just the environment, and I was expecting it to get rowdy and crazy through the entire event. it really didn't happen that way. Everyone was really cool. Everyone was really good. All the spectators, even though there was one guy who decided to climb up one of the poles, must have been like 30, 40 feet in the air. He just climbed up. Kind of reminded me when I lived in Hawaii, people would climb up coconut trees and get coconuts and stuff. So kind of reminded me of that. He got arrested, and which was, it's a bummer. But dude, if you would have fallen off that would have sucked. So as you can see here, these guys are going at it. Now these are the preliminary fights. There were 10 fights in general, or in total, and we had some women fights, some female fights, and we also had some. And will scroll to that in a few minutes. Some pit submission fights, which initially I was like, oh man, we're getting into jiu-jitsu, and I didn't think we were going to be getting into grappling and karate combat. But it was, again, you're throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks. So, but the fighters looked really, really good here, and I actually did pretty good. Out of 10 fights, 8 of my fights I won on, so I was pretty stoked because, as you know, Up Only Gaming is a platform where, and I'm not going to use the word bet because I don't like that term, and I used it once and someone said vote, and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a much better term. So with Up Only Gaming, when you download Karate Combat, and first off, when you download the app, you're automatically going to get 88 karate tokens. Then what you can do is, of course, there's ways to buy it. I'm going to do a video about how to go through this entire process to make it easier for you. But what you do is you get your tokens, and right before an event comes up, or Kickback or Karate Combat event or whatever, what happens, what I mean by that is they have like KC 43, 42, 45. This is Kickback 2. So I'm just using that as a way to differentiate the two events. But regardless, you're able to vote for your fighters. Now, if you win, like if your fighter wins the fight, then you win tokens. Now, it's all based on odds and things of that nature, and you're able to see like what you're eligible to win if your fighter wins. And if you win, you get that amount of tokens. For me, an average fight, if I won, was 340 tokens. So that's the average. Now, if you lose, though, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people misunderstand, is it's called Up Only for a reason. It's because even when you win, or even when you lose, you don't lose tokens from your wallet. Nothing, we're going to come back to that in a minute. You don't lose tokens. Nothing gets removed. Nothing gets taken out of your wallet. It's only added. That's why it's called Up Only Gaming. Now, you don't have to vote. You don't have to do that. But it's allowing you to increase your position with Karate Combat. So why not? And it's good to have fun, especially when you're not losing anything from it, when you're not having anything removed from your wallet and only added, that's a good thing. Now, you can put all your tokens on one fight if you want. You can spread it out if you want. I think the more you spread it out, the better opportunity you have to win more, but it's totally up to you. They take a snapshot of how many tokens you have beforehand. There's a voting window, usually opens up like a day and a half, before the event begins, allow you to vote for who you want. Then it closes right before the event begins. And the next day, like, you have tokens in your wallet. And now, let me say this. Your wallet is your Karate Combat app. All right? So that's where you're playing the game. That's where your tokens, to be activated, to be utilized for voting, they must be in your Karate Combat app. If you have a Hedera wallet or a Blade wallet or something like that, that's not going to count. All right, they take a snapshot beforehand. This is how many tokens you have, and then they calculate, okay, if you distribute your tokens amongst 8 fights, it does it automatically evenly, right? It divides it. Now you can change that up. You can go minus, you can go plus, you can, however you want to do that, you can do. Or as I said, not at all, but you have to be doing it from your Karate Combat app. Now, with that said, of course, it makes it a lot of fun, and because if you lose, whatever, if you win, you're adding more karate to your portfolio or to your wallet. And one of the things that I'm really stoked about is the fact that this was, and I've said this before, Karate Combat's been around for quite a while. All right, this is not something that just popped up last year. They've been around since 2018, 2017. Just last year, I think we're coming up on a year now that they implemented a digital token into their ecosystem. With that addition of that token, with that successful integration, now that token has tremendous utility. It allows those who have it to be able to vote on proposals and to create proposals. It allows you to earn more karate token by, up only gaming, by adding more. And it also is a way to reward people for getting the app, for fans, for fighters even. Fighters get a percentage of karate tokens. In addition to, I'm sure they have a salary, but they get a portion of that, whatever's amount. Like if there's 90 million karate tokens up for grabs for an event, everyone gets, and then the fighters get 10% of whatever that is. So that's another way that karate is utilized and has a use case and has a utility. Now, there's been some talk on Twitter about, well, should there be a separate token for pit submission fighting? Because this was the first time allowing 3 fights to be submissions, right? And I'm of the school of thought that there should be only one token, the karate token, due to the fact that if you have multiple tokens doing multiple things, how can any one of those tokens actually stand out? Because then it's sort of like, whatever. The karate token, it still is. I have to put this out there. It's still struggling to be recognized in mass, to be adopted. Now, it's getting better and better all the time, but it's still in early stages. We implement another token, and I think it was introduced as the pit token, and but the idea was bringing it out there, and I think that's great. Talking about the idea and will it work, will it not work, whatever. What's people's thoughts on it? So I thought that's cool. My opinion is just keep it for karate right now. If 2 or 3 years down the road something occurs and it shoots off, maybe it's a different branch of Karate Combat to, pit combat or something like that, well, then you can do that way. But right now, I think the karate token kind of should be, and I believe will be, the only token so attached to the Karate Combat brand. And rightfully so, because that's a kick-ass name. I mean, regardless if you're doing pit submissions and that kind of stuff, having the karate token, I think it's just really, really cool to be able to do and to have that. And again, if you're here, hit that like button if you're watching. If you have any feedback, if you have any questions, then go ahead and put that in. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to also kind of head back. I'm going to come back here so we can actually see. Of course, I don't know why that does that, but it does that. So we just come here. Let's try it again. There we go. Okay. Well, there's no fights going on, but that's okay too. but you're seeing everyone's calm, cool energy, no recklessness, no people are getting carried away and crazy. And man, the way that the sun was coming off the pit and the way it looked, just looks so cool, guys. And the fighters were really amazing. Really good fights all the way around. Brave Browser, of course. As you know, I'm a Brave ambassador. But again, I'm not paid or sponsored by Karate Combat or Brave. Just putting that out there, guys. But Brave is a sponsor of Karate Combat. Then you also have, you have different ones in here. You saw the Karate Token. DeFi Kingdoms is one. So you can kind of see Hedera is huge, a huge supporter. Actually, it's on the Hedera sort of network, if you will, Karate Combat. And that's another project that I think is going to just take off once, we get out of this and we really start, moving forward in alt season. And we're not there yet, and I'm not sure when that will be, but I feel really confident that Hedera is really going to shine, and especially when it's associating itself with this kind of a league. And I think Karate Combat's uniqueness will really keep it moving forward and they're being really progressive. They have events pretty much monthly. There's one coming up in Dubai in April, and then Consensus is in Texas, and that's going to be in May. So there's a lot of events going on, and I'm just really impressed by pretty much this whole the way they are doing things. I'm just kind of sorry, guys. So now we're kind of getting into the later in the evening. I want to skip through, and you had Warren Sapp at the event, and which was great, So you're seeing a lot of different celebrities, and just what a view. Look at that, right on the ocean. I don't know, if I was fighting, let's say I won or I got my ass beat, I'm jumping in the water, man. I'm cooling off afterwards because that looks so inviting. It's just amazing. The production quality is always very, very good at these Karate Combat events. And the insights, of course, you got Boss Rutan, who's just, he's a legend. And it's nice to have him being an ambassador and being a commentator and adding his opinions and his thoughts on there. So where I think Karate Combat's going to be headed, well, if they keep moving forward and they keep putting on amazing events and the quality, production quality, but I just don't want them to be another UFC, all right? One of the reasons, well, not one, I'm going to give you a few reasons why when Karate Combat caught my eye, I was like, wow, this is really cool. One, being that I'm a lifelong martial artist, and you guys get sick of me saying that, but it adds some context. So whenever I do my live stream of these events, yes, you got Boss, and you got the other commentators that are putting their thoughts in there, but I'm also doing it as well to add a little bit, maybe a different perspective, or however you want to look at it into these fights. Furthermore, the concept of not having a lot of grappling in here is also very appealing, because UFC was like grappling central at one point, and I kind of got blah with it, to be honest with you. I've been around for a long time. Back when it first came out, like I remember UFC, when it first came out, and it's UFC 1, and you had Hoist Gracie going out there, and you got, Ken Shamrock, and you had Frank Shamrock, and all those guys going at it, Randy Couture, and amazing fighters. Amazing fighters. But as it's progressed up through, it's sort of like it's lost its luster for me. I've always been a stand-up guy. I used to love watching PKA karate on Thursday nights on ESPN back in the early 80s and mid 80s. That was a huge thing for me. I love doing that. And this really reminds me of that. You're seeing techniques you wouldn't see in a UFC. I mean, you're seeing like spinning back fists, and you're seeing techniques are taekwondo oriented. You're seeing more boxing. You're seeing, taekwondo kicks more. It makes it really dynamic. Obviously, I'm very, very bullish on Karate Combat because of where I see them going, and especially being as innovative as including a a digital token. How amazing, how genius is that in the Web3 space? Karate Combat, and I said this in a tweet last night, or in a comment to a tweet, that I really think Karate Combat is the blueprint for other whatever. It doesn't even matter what organization or whatever you do. I mean, you can do that. You can do this with Up Only Gaming as well. I mean, you can do it for anything, but with Karate Combat, they set the tone. They're the blueprint for how to do it, and right now they're doing it the right way. They're doing it the right way. They're getting former UFC fighters to come on board. You're getting, the production quality is amazing. And I like that they move things around, like taking it outside, right on the beach, or putting it at someone's house, right? The president's house, his mother's house, right? When they had it a couple months ago. Who does that? That wasn't necessarily my favorite event, just because the environment felt off to me a little bit. But who cares? I mean, it was still freaking awesome. I mean, who does that? So I like that they're innovative, and they are the blueprint, in my opinion, of how to successfully integrate a digital token into the culture of what you're doing, and also to the ecosystem, allowing for governance, right? Creating proposals, voting on proposals, steering the ship to a degree in certain directions, rule changes, things of that nature. That's where I think Karate Combat is one. It's undervalued. It's underlooked. Or overlooked. I'm going to say underlooked because it is. And I think this year is going to be an amazing year for Karate Combat with what they're doing and how they're getting good quality fights and they're trying new things. I'm stoked. I'm really stoked about where they're headed. So these are kind of my thoughts, my review. Now, let's see here. While I'm talking to you guys, by the way, if you're here, let me know you're here. Hit that like button. I'm just whipping through here really quick. Okay. So now we're getting into like the evening time. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. You can see what's going on. And of course it does this. Why it does that, I have no idea, everybody. It's crazy. Let's try it again. There we go. That's better. So now we're in the evening time, getting ready for some fights. And I think also that getting fighters from around the world is a really cool idea. And look at that. Look at that scenery, guys. I mean, that's just awesome, And you can see the sponsors: Saucer Swab, DeFi Kingdoms, Brave, just really, really cool. Galaxy, which is a Web3 social media, I think DeFi social media community. A lot of things are going on. A lot of things are happening with Karate Combat. It's just the more that they put it out there. And okay, by the way, I'm stopping myself. With UFC, and again, I'm not slamming the UFC, okay? I've been to several UFC fights. I've actually met quite a few UFC fighters. I know one personally. But I think that with competition is great, okay? Competition is good for the consumer. It's really good for the industry When you have a monopoly on something, you can sort of rest on your laurels and you can be lazy and you can just kind of like, all right, I don't need to do anything. But when you have competition such as karate combat, even though I don't know if I necessarily consider it competition because it's its own thing with the UFC, that's just going to be great. It gives you a choice. People who enjoy UFC, people who enjoy karate combat, people who enjoy both, right? Like I've said, we've seen UFC fighters coming to these events and checking them out. So I think that the quality of fighting has gone up quite a bit since the first time I streamed. So it just keeps better and better. Now, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. We all know that. And it's interesting because sometimes when we're putting out objective critiquing, it gets put out as FUD. Oh, you're fudding you're fudding the project or this or that. Whenever, at least for me anyway, when I'm saying something, so look at it this way. When you criticize something or someone, you're criticizing them. You're telling them what they're doing wrong. When you have constructive criticism now, or constructive critiquing is like, hey, I like what you're doing. Maybe try doing this so it gets better. As opposed to, well, I don't like the way you're doing that. You're not offering anything more. That's all you got to offer is a criticism. So I've been thinking about, like, how could karate combat be better? What can they do to, I don't know, just in general make it better? And I'm really hard pressed to find anything at this point to make karate combat better. I'm sure as the time goes on and I see more, but right now the way they are organized, this guy, I didn't see him the first time. The way they are organizing the fights, I probably, the only thing that I probably would suggest would be to give a little bit more time in between fights. I don't necessarily think we need one every single month. I think if every 2 months, if we did it like 4 or 5 times a year with smaller, like maybe regional events or something, I don't know, but it seems like we're having these every single month, and I'm just afraid that, like, I'm not sure exactly even how many fighters are on their roster right now. But you need to have time to rest. You need to have time to heal. And if you're fighting like every 4 weeks, or there's Warren Sapp, or however, I mean, that can really get taxing. So, which I don't think they do. They got to give you a certain amount of time, like 6 weeks, I think. Part of me wants to go and start giving my feedback, but good movement. Anyway, so I would just say maybe like instead of every 4 weeks, which I think it is, and I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know, because I don't want to say anything that's out of school. But maybe having a little bit more time in between fights to hype them up and to maybe do fighter profiles, create more emotional buy-in. Look, when you have emotional buy-in, like a few of the fighters here, yes. Sam Alvey, you have one. There's a few other ones, but if you're seeing these guys for the first time, and ladies, because they have women fights too, and those are, I'll talk about that in a minute. When you have an emotional buy-in, you're going to be more invested. You're going to want to be like, yeah, more involved, and you want to see that fighter succeed. You're part of them. Maybe they're an underdog. But there's one guy here who, it's not him. I don't think it's him anyway. No, he had 5 hours notice. 5 hours notice because one of the fighters couldn't make weight, which is pretty messed up because, you make weight. You're a professional. Anyway, don't get me started on that crap. But they got a hold of this guy. 5 hours notice. He's in the ring with like this guy was a monster, and he took it easy on him. Was it Morales? I think it was, and it would just, yeah. it just was a really cool thing. This guy decided, you know what, 5, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go for it. I hope they give him another shot because that's hard to do. I mean, that's tough to do. You're probably not in fight shape. You're just chilling out. You get a call in the morning, hey, our fighter canceled. Can you come in and fill in? Holy crap. All right. Start drinking water, start stretching, getting your heads right. That is hard to do. So that takes a lot of courage. So kudos to that fighter. And I can't remember his name, and I apologize for that. But when you're seeing things like that, you're seeing heart, you're seeing determination. That's a warrior spirit you want to have. Now, with some of the women fights that we had, or the female fighters, I'm going to scroll here a little bit. And by the way, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Remember, if you want to see more, like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Let me know you're here. I am, before I go ahead and put the screen back on, I want to see what kind of fights we got going on. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. Well, it's a good thing it's kind of my stream. So, oh man, hey John, I'm glad you're here, my friend. Thanks for making it. So, we are. Oh, is this the one right here? I want to see for a second. Wait a minute. I want to make sure, because if this is the guy I'm talking about, Sam Alvey. Is he coming up next? All right, so here we go. I want to share this with you guys because, all right. So Sam Alvey, he fought. He's a champion. He fought I saw him about 2 months ago fight. Now, you're going to see him have some mobility issues here. Now, this is the cool thing. So he was in the back. I'm going to give you some context. So he was in the back. And from what I understand, what was told to us is that he broke his foot warming up. He may have broken his foot as he was warming up backstage. So that you're going to see how he moves, or he doesn't so much. But I really like the fact that that woman there is his wife. They've been married for a very long time, and she's always in his corner. You got to love that. You really got to love that. Now, this really doesn't last long. I'm going to kind of let this go a little bit so you can kind of see what's happening. But, and maybe I'll turn the volume up a little bit. I kind of have it muted, but maybe I'll turn it up and let you kind of check it out. So that's Sam's wife. And they call him Smiling Sam because he always smiles. The only thing I'd like for him to be able to do is maybe lean down a little bit more so it helps him be more mobile. But, whatever. So we're going to see here, and I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. Let's see here. Let's turn. So this is 5 rounds. Oh, actually, no, I can't do that because you'll hear me in the background. So you'll hear me twice. But if you notice, Sam, and this was like the headline match, right? This was the headliner match. This was basically the last match of the fight. Now, after this, they have some submission. They had 3 pit submission fights after this fight. Probably the only thing I'd like to see is maybe put those fights that really, quote unquote, don't mean anything beforehand. Save the championship fight for the championship, for the very end. If that's the headliner, that's the headliner. Nothing else should come out after that, in my humble opinion. But what you'll see here, and I may or may not let it run through, is this fight goes like 2 rounds, and then there's like an accidental headbutt, and so you can always go back and find this, guys, and just scrub it towards the end. and you can watch the fight in its entirety. You can watch all the fights in their entirety. But there was a headbutt. It was a no contest, and they'll be fighting again soon. But after that, they said that probably Sam had a broken foot, which is a real bummer. I don't know how that happened backstage, but, whatever. So let's just, I want to, let's see here, guys. I'm just trying to scrub through. I was going to do a shorter video, but I really didn't want to go through a 5.5 hour live stream, guys. So I apologize. I apologize for that. And John, how are you doing, my friend? It's nice to see you. I'm glad you made it. So I'm going to go a little bit further here. Let's see. Okay, so in a nutshell, I don't want to keep you guys waiting. In a nutshell, I think that this event was amazing. They've got the next one coming up in April 20th in Dubai. I will be streaming that. Any of these events I will be streaming. I'm not sure what time, depending on the time frame there. I'm not exactly sure, but that'll be something that I will be a part of. And if you have any questions in regards to Karate Combat, or you want to know how to get involved, I will be producing a video of how to get started, how to become part of Karate Combat, and giving you more of a tutorial of what it's all about. So if you have any questions, now is a great time. I'm glad, and John, like I said, I'm glad you're here. And if you're watching, or if you watch this later, give me your feedback. Let me know what you think about Karate Combat, and where do you think they go from here. So good, man. I'm glad you've kind of been making it. So I'm glad you're here. And yeah, man. I also just FYI, just a little housekeeping. So I put out a video earlier today on buying crypto, getting involved in crypto if you're new. So if you know someone who wants to get involved in crypto but really don't know how to go about doing it, sit down and watch that video with them, encourage them to ask questions, or whatever I can do to help. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And I just want to, before I let you guys go, I just want to kind of get to this. Now, the one thing that I've experienced, or that I've seen in general, I don't know what in the world. I'm going to have to figure out why that does that. Here we go. But when you have fights, especially, so in Hawaii they'd be called wahine. Like wahine is like female fighters, okay? Kane is men. So if you're in Hawaii and you go to like the bathroom and you see like, what is Kane, wahine? Well, that's men, women. So make sure you go in the right one. But this was a really good jiu-jitsu match. I don't mind it so much. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it with the jiu-jitsu matches that they were happening, but it really wasn't bad. If they really, do it right and make it so it's like you really concentrate on the submission part of it, keep them moving so it doesn't drag out forever, because that's one of the biggest issues. Now, if you're a jiu-jitsu player, you appreciate it. You're on the ground. You see what the other fighter's trying to do. You see the tactical part of it. It's like playing chess. If you're not, all you see is just people laying on top of each other, not moving around. it can get really to the average person. It could get boring. It could be like, all right, well, what is this? My attention span is already blown. So if they do it right, then I think that this has a place. Again, it's just about, making sure that it's done in the right way. But you're seeing, and I'm not going to go into the details of what they're actually doing, but, it's all about just creating position, right? Position before submission, right? Once you get the position, then you can go for getting your opponent to tap out or choke out or whatever you're going to do. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm really appreciative of everyone. If you have any questions or anything I can do for you in the future, let me know. And John, I want to connect also on our member group. So I want to bounce some things off you. So keep an eye out for a message from me within the next 24 hours. I want to get your thoughts. So hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all very, very much. And Karate Combat, where do you think it's headed? Can it dominate and take over for UFC at some point in the future? What's your thoughts? What do you think? So with that said, I hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, here at the Crypto Dojo, crypto never sleeps. And I will see you guys soon.